Nearly 90% of Americans eat meat as a part of their diet. But earlier this year, the Agriculture Department approved production of what's known as cultivated meat, that is chicken grown in a lab. That approval clears the way for companies to begin selling poultry produced from animal cells rather than animals bred in factory farms and killed. William Brangham gives us a taste of what the future could hold.
We put a little allium glaze on it, which is just an onion garlic reduction. Just to give it a little color and some flavor on the outside.
At the Good Meat plant in Alameda, California, Chef Nate Park is putting the finishing touches on a dish that is seemingly pulled right out of science fiction.
A lot of people don't know what this is, so there's a tendency to maybe back away because they don't know what it is. But I think once they understand what it is and that it's just chicken and that it's delicious, it'll be very easy for everyone to get on board.
Getting people comfortable with the idea of cultivated chicken is at the heart of operations here at Good Meat. It's one of two companies now federally approved to make it.
We want to slice it in front of you. We want you to see what it is that you're going to get on the plate.
Grilled, sliced, and served with heirloom beans and a sweet potato puree.
If you had said nothing about this, I would just think this was a lovely meal.
Oh, thank you.
It tastes, as the saying goes, like chicken.
It's chicken.
And delicious.
Thank you.
But long before I enjoyed it for lunch today, that chicken meat could only be seen here, inside this bioprocessing lab, as tiny microscopic stem cells. They're all taken from real chickens without harming them. The cells are then constantly stirred, kept warm, and nourished so that they'll multiply inside these massive bioreactors. It's all part of a lengthy process designed to mirror how actual animals grow.
Cultivated meat has been talked about for over 100 years.
Josh Tetrick is the co-founder and CEO of Eat Just, which operates Good Meat.
What is the rationale for cultivated meat?
First and foremost, we just got to accept people love meat. And it's difficult, really difficult, to get people to stop eating meat and choose beans or some other plant-based source which would be better for them. So how do you get at that? And I think the answer is you make real meat in exactly the same taste and texture that people are used to, but you make it in a way that doesn't require billions of animals. You just can't feed the world without the billions of animals because each animal has to be slaughtered.
Global food production is responsible for roughly a third of all the man-made greenhouse gases that are dangerously heating the planet. And meat production is the major driver of that impact, with the majority of the world's croplands and forests being used to grow food for the animals we then eat.
If we're going to solve the climate problem, we definitely need to move from fossil fuels to renewable energy. And we also definitely need to move from intensive animal farming that is eating up a third of our planet today to an entirely different approach.
But not everyone is sold on this new approach.
We can't just take it as a given that cultured meat is good for the environment.
Ned Spang is an associate professor at the University of California, Davis, who studies the links between food and the environment. He says while no animals are being slaughtered, a recent report he co-authored about cultured meat indicates it's not nearly as green as many would hope.
Along the lines of climate emissions or energy use, we found that cultivated meat might actually have more of an impact than the conventional agriculture.
And how is that possible?
Well, the major driver is that these are still animal cells, so they still need to eat food. And basically, just as a cow needs to eat some grass or corn to grow and grow muscle mass, we need to feed the cells. And so we need to feed them glucose for energy and amino acids to build proteins. And it takes a lot of resources to actually make the food to grow these cells to create the cultivated meat.
But Tetrick argues that as the technology improves, cultivated meat has the potential to pollute much less and consume far less land and water than conventional meat. And he argues our current approach, from its cruelty to animals to its environmental impacts, has to change.
We're eating food every day that no one would be proud of if they actually engaged with it.
Several companies have come to market with plant-based meat substitutes, like Beyond Meat or Impossible Burgers, but cultivated meat will likely be a tougher sell. A recent poll from the Associated Press found that half of adults in the U.S. say they would be unlikely to try it, with many citing that it sounded weird.
We found the most effective way to move someone from this is kind of weird to, all right, I'm down with it, is to put it on a plate, get them hanging out with their friends, and have them eat the chicken. And then about midway through it, they're like, all right, this is just chicken.
We marinated overnight in a anticucho sauce.
So far, only a few restaurants in the U.S. have actually served cultivated chicken, including China Chilcano in Washington, D.C.
Take it right like this.
Yes, don't be afraid to get a little messy, don't worry.
That is delicious.
It's owned by world-famous chef Jose Andres, and here, head chef Daniel Lugo prepares it as a traditional Peruvian street food.
So when Jose first came to you and said, we'd like to try cooking with this unique type of chicken, what was your reaction?
Well, at first I was super excited and curious. And to be honest, once I tried it, I was super surprised and actually liked it.
But getting cultivated meat both into more restaurants and eventually into grocery stores won't be easy. Good Meat is reportedly looking for ways to cut surging production costs. The company had aimed to eventually produce up to 30 million pounds of meat annually.
Yeah, we are nowhere near the scalability to actually make a dent in this problem. And that was exactly the same way for solar energy 30 years ago. And we were in exactly the same position for electric cars 20 years ago. And if you're ultimately going to shift the system, best to start now, because it's going to be a many, many decade-long, very, very hard, uncertain problem to solve.
It's a problem now being tested and tasted in labs like this one. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm William Brangham in Alameda, California.
It looks, smells, and tastes like the butter we're all familiar with, but without the farmland, fertilizers, or emissions tied to that typical process. And this butter breakthrough, it's happening right here in Batavia. In the middle of an industrial park in a suburb west of Chicago, something unprecedented is happening.
So you're using this gas right now to cook your food. And we're proposing that we would like to first make your food with that gas.
The company is called Savor, and you better believe it. Their pioneering tech uses carbon and hydrogen to make the stick of butter you see on this plate.
This is pretty novel to be able to make food that looks and tastes and feels exactly like dairy butter, but with no agriculture whatsoever.
And no long ingredient list the average person can't pronounce.
It's really just our fat, some water, a little bit of lecithin as an emulsifier, and some natural flavor and color.
How? Fats are made up of carbon and hydrogen chains. The goal here? Replicate those chains without animals or plants. And they did it. They tell me to simplify. They take carbon dioxide from the air and hydrogen from water, heat them up and oxidize them. The final result?
It looks like a wax, like a candle wax at first.
But they're fat molecules, like the ones in beef, cheese, or vegetable oils.
Sustainability is why we are here.
It's all done releasing zero greenhouse gases, using no farmland to feed cows.
We're not at full capacity in this facility yet.
And even though we're standing in a factory setting,
And in addition to the carbon footprint being much lower for a process like this, right, the land footprint is 1,000 times lower than what you need in traditional agriculture.
I know what you're thinking.
I think we need to taste it. I would love for you to taste this.
How does it taste?
I love butter, so I'm going to take a really healthy amount.
Admittedly, surprisingly, like butter.
Cheers. It tastes like butter.
Another reason they say this makes an impact: no palm oil, a significant contributor to deforestation and climate change. That's not all. Of the 51 billion tons of greenhouse gases emitted every year, 7% is from the production of fats and oils from animals and plants. So when could you get a taste yourself? Right now, they're working directly with restaurants, bakeries, and food suppliers, releasing these chocolates made with their butter in time for the holidays.
Savor butter in either its current manifestation or with our partners, we expect that to be on the shelves kind of more like around 2027.
Their teams here in Batavia, Illinois, and their home lab base in San Jose, California, backed by Bill Gates, who wrote in his blog, quote, "The idea of switching to lab-made fats and oils may seem strange at first, but their potential to significantly reduce our carbon footprint is immense. Believing butter can make a difference."
This is really about how we feed our species and heal our planet at the same time.
I put more information on food sustainability and how this could impact our food industry moving forward in the story that's up on our website right now, where you'll also find more information about this company. Reporting inside Savor's facility in Batavia, I'm Tara Molina, CBS News Chicago, Investigators.
The key thing you can do to reduce population growth is actually improve health.
Bullshit, okay?
Of reducing population growth, that's this big benefit that then makes everything like education and nutrition a lot easier.
Are you out of your fucking mind?
In the developed countries, the big winners are countries that have shrinking populations.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I would like to reduce the number of people on the planet because there's too many of us.
You fucking piece of shit.
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population,
Wait. What the?
More of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that. We're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
What the fuck?
So in the next 5 to 10 years, for the next pandemic,
Wait a minute, hold it.
we'll solve all those problems.
You say the next pandemic, there will be another pandemic.
Absolutely. We don't know when.
What in the fuck?
History teaches us that the next pandemic is a matter of when, not if.
We know what's next. We're going to have another major coronavirus pandemic before the end of this decade, before 2030.
If we really want to prevent the next pandemic, and there will be one, there will absolutely be an outbreak of another pandemic. It may be next year.
We need more money to plan for the second pandemic. There's going to be another pandemic. We have to think ahead.
We definitively will have to face other surprises, black swans, as they are called, maybe different kinds of viruses.
But also there will be a surprise outbreak.
Most of the work we're going to do to be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1. We just need to mess around.
Get the fuck out of here.
The EPA recently approved an experimental use permit to Oxitec, a biotech company funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. In an effort to fight malaria, Oxitec will soon release millions of genetically modified mosquitoes in various U.S. states. Programs are being developed to allow human immunization via mosquito bite. It was Science magazine that coined the phrase, flying syringes.
Just then, by sheer coincidence.
Oxford, Massachusetts, and 3 neighboring towns have a reason for concern as mosquitoes carrying a potentially deadly virus called Eastern Equine Encephalitis, or Triple E, infected a resident who is now fighting for his life.
We don't want to see another human case of Triple E this year.
The rare but dangerous disease can cause swelling in the brain. There's no treatment and anyone can get infected. The death rate is as high as 30%.
The city is applying pesticide to reduce the threat of the West Nile virus. To minimize exposure to the pesticide, please go indoors immediately.
I'm also just wondering how we got to the point that we're now importing ginger. Ginger, guys, ginger. Ginger is something you can grow so easily in your backyard. And this massive, larger than life size ginger from China. I can't tell you about the taste because I didn't buy it. I'm not putting that in my body. It might be ignorance. That's also possible. But it's just not the type of ginger that I'm used to. And until I do more research, it's also not something that I'm going to be consuming. But I mean, that thing was the size of my whole hand. What have you guys been finding out there? I was just very concerned. I really was very concerned.
A large part of the carbon we have in the atmosphere now is caused by the electricity grid, which is about 25% or so.
Exactly.
So 24%, it comes from agriculture and forestry. Why is that causing such a big increase in carbon?
Cows and other grass-eating species have a digestion system that emits methane. And methane is a very powerful greenhouse gas. And so cows alone account for about 6% of global emissions. And so we need to change cows, just cows alone.
How are we going to do that?
Well, actually, of all the categories, the one that has gone better than I would have expected 5 years ago is this work to make what's called artificial meat. And so you have people like Impossible or Beyond Meat, both of which I invested in.
You eat it as well? Or do you like it?
Absolutely.
You do?
You can go to Burger King and buy the Impossible Burger.
All right. Is it healthier for you or just healthier for the atmosphere?
It's slightly healthier for you in terms of less cholesterol. It's, of course, dramatic reduction in methane emissions, animal cruelty, manure management, and the pressure that meat consumption puts on land use. The main reason why we need to increase the agricultural output over the rest of this century is not the population increase. It's that as countries get richer, they eat more meat, and meat is a very inefficient way of creating calories.
Melanin pigment, right, is so unbelievable, George. They use it in computer chips now because it has an ability to transduce electrical energy. Can you imagine this? It has this incredible ability to hold on to and transduce and manipulate electrons, electronic energy, and photons, photonic energy. It's a fascinating molecule.
This continent could shine, oh, my people go survive.
That's good, but it's still missing us.
Knowledge is power.
Seize him. Cut his throat. Stop. Wait. I've changed my mind. Let him go. Step back 3 paces. Turn around. Power is power.
A cross is a sign of death. We only find it at the graveyards and also a church. So a church, you find people that are dead spiritually, dead, zombified, and you also find people that don't think. In church, somebody will be preaching nonsense. You are hearing that nonsense, but you don't ask. They don't give you that chance to ask questions. So they are giving you that death sign, and you are being initiated at a very tender age, at a very young age. A 1 month baby is already being baptized. The reason why, because they want you to remain dead spiritually and also mentally, for you not to think. Otherwise, it's like their God doesn't like people with brain.
No go Bill Gates. Say it is possible to save 2 million women by 2030.
Yes, so it is possible.
I love it.
Some of the African leaders are the dumbest leader in the world, and I say this with all regret. African leader, wake up! Wake up! And I would tell to all African here, start making your own little farm in your backyard and start growing your own product. 90% of the disease that we have comes from the very food we consume. I live in America, and I'm a live witness to that. If my recollection serves me well, 2005 and 2006, Bill Gates Foundation, along with Rockefeller, formed an organization called AGRA, Alliance Green Grass Revolution Africa, to help farmers in Zambia. They went there, they disadvantaged the organic farmer. That is a whole different story. We're going to come to that. But quite recently, Bill Gates has been litigating about the population growth in Africa, that there's a possibility Africa is going to starve to death if the population does not decrease. If Bill Gates playing God now, is that what he is? A computer man? He said by 2050, an additional 900 million is going to add to the population of Africa that is going to be detrimental to the war. And so for that reason, he's giving $200 billion of his money to help, stop starvation in Africa. We don't really want that. It's a red flag. Right here in America, there are homeless people everywhere. If Bill Gates wanted to be this good person, he could have done that. But that's a red flag.